Hey guys, this is our Yellow Brick Cinema talks that we do every week, talking about new topics surrounding relaxation, music, our channel, and our lives. Feel free to fall asleep to these, use them as background noise, or get great insight about how to relax. We would love your feedback, so leave a comment and let us know what you would like us to talk about. But first, let's get into this week's talk. Hey guys, this is our 6th YBC talk. Today we are talking about burning bad thoughts and why this might be good and why it might be freeing. And so I'm just going to hand this off to Claire, and this was her idea, and why we should maybe get rid of bad thoughts and what's good about it. So she could talk a little more in detail about it, and from there we'll just have a discussion on bad thoughts and how to get rid of them. So Claire, it's all you.
Thanks, Evan. So we came up with an idea for a video, and this is how it all started. I'm doing a fireplace video, some footage of the crackling fireplace, really cozy and comforting. And we thought a way to make it a bit more engaging was to write down negative self-talk that people may have, hopefully, contributions from our listeners, and burn those negative thoughts. And then we got into a bit of a debate about whether writing down negative thoughts was positive. Was it better to write down the negative thoughts, throw them in the fire and watch them burn? Was that a satisfying thing? Or was writing down the negative thought giving it power, if you will? So we got into a debate whether to write down negative things and burn them, or should we be focusing more on writing down positive, opposite of what the negative self-talk is? And so, we just thought we'd have a chat about positive thinking, the power of it. I know that there is a lot of skepticism around positive thinking. It can be quite an airy-fairy concept, but it is actually a mental and emotional discipline backed by science. And there's definitely a difference between toxic positivity and realistic optimism. So there is such a thing as, just trying to be positive in such a way that you're denying or suppressing negative feelings. I think we've all met those people who just are overly positive and, behind the scenes, things are falling apart. And that is not a healthy form of positivity. Whereas a realistic optimism is acknowledging that you have a challenge, but maintaining a hopeful outlook, and basically a belief in your ability to cope. So, what do you guys think? What is your thoughts on positive thinking? Do you practice it? Is it something you believe in, or do you think it's all hokey pokey?
For personally myself, I come off almost more, I wouldn't say pessimist, but I come off more as a realist, which a lot of people might think as more pessimistic than an optimistic, because in my eyes, I see things as, if I'm already prepared for the worst, that anything that happens will be at least to what I expected, or it will be better. So the outcome will always become better. But if I have too much positive thinking, if I think, this is going to go well for me. Now, this always happens to me, is I sometimes do have these really positive, I'm like, oh yes, this is going to be so good. Every single time that I have these thoughts, I don't know if I'm cursed or whatever it is, but it kind of goes the opposite way. It just doesn't go as thought planned as I hoped it would. And it doesn't go my way. It reminds me back of like when I was younger, when I'd go out and I'm like, they're going to have the best night. And then it's just never a great night. But it's the nights that you don't expect where you think, I guess I'll go out, that you had the best night. So this kind of aligns with what we're talking about, which is, burning those, maybe taking those thoughts, maybe writing them down and just burning them. Maybe some people would, or even writing them down, whether you burn them or whether you get rid of them, throw them away, or you just you understand them. And it's like being self-conscious and understanding these thoughts, and maybe seeing them written down will get rid of them. I know a lot of people will do the opposite and write down things that they want. But this is a different take on things, which I think that might be very interesting. I don't really know the science behind it, but I do know people write down affirmations all the time and write down stuff. So this might be a new or different way of a different take about it that might be really healthy for the mind.
And I tend to live according to one primary belief when it comes to positive or negative thoughts. Get your sensor bleep ready in post-production. You might need it here. It's the same overarching thought I've had for a very long time. It's one sentence. Don't let the bastards win. And that's what it comes down to, is self-belief. If no one else is going to believe in me, no one else is going to be in my corner, no one else is going to bet on me, well, that's the baseline. Nobody gets up in the morning and says, what can I do for Jason today except me? So I'm going to bet on me. And maybe that's a byproduct of those of you listening to this who, how do I phrase this, may not have had the best upbringing, may not have had the best start in life, may not have had the best opportunities, may have had the deck stacked against them. You have a choice. And you know this because you went through it. You either surrender or you rise up and you fight back. You believe in yourself and you develop that self-belief in the face of overwhelming odds. And as long as you hold on to that, it will get you through some incredibly tough situations. Because if you think, oh, well, I'm not going to get anywhere, if you go down that negative feedback rabbit hole, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And as Evan mentioned, if you start thinking all Pollyanna and super positive, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Or worse, if you've had a really rough go of it, you spend your life waiting for the other shoe to drop. So instead, you don't look at it positively or negatively. You look at it as, I want to achieve this. Now let's go make it happen. And you roll up your sleeves and you do it. Now, there is a cathartic element to what Claire has brought forth, the idea of write down negative thoughts and burn them. And here's why I think it's valuable. And it's why I'm actually pretty excited to see this video. The catharsis of it brings closure. Think about it. How much closure do you actually get in the course of a lifetime? How many people, coworkers, friends, family members, lovers, have you not spoken to in years or decades, and you're never going to speak with them or hear from them again? We get so little closure. And the thing is, you don't necessarily want to rekindle a friendship with these people because there just isn't enough there. If there was, they'd still be a part of your life. But that temptation to just, reach out and go, how did your life turn out? Just to have that one last conversation and then wish them well. And life rarely presents us with the opportunity to do it. So writing down those thoughts that you've been holding on to and then burning them, letting them go, it's not for their benefit, it's for yours. It's to let go and move on. Because trust me on this, the older you get, the more that they pile up like links in a chain wrapped around your neck, and you've got to free yourself from it.
And I think you touched on a really important point, is that when you write them down, and you're right with a lot of these points, is, when you write them down, you can self-identify with a lot of them, and maybe there's opportunity to turn those around. Sometimes you don't think about certain things. You just carry on about your life, but when you think about something and you write it down, maybe just those aspects, maybe one of those 10 things that were hindrances in your life that you want gone, maybe one of them will be, you'll rethink about it and you'll think it differently, and it will shape your mind and go, you know what, maybe I won't burn this one. Maybe I want to change this one. Maybe I want to fix this one. Maybe this is the one that I want to maybe reach out to this person, or so maybe it's not all worth burning, but there could be situations where it could be helpful, yes, there will be some that you should get rid of. You want to get rid of a lot of maybe negativity in your life or bad things in your life, but maybe some could reshape you and make you a better person.
As an anxiety sufferer, I tend to agree. Me personally, it's not necessarily negative self-talk that I struggle with when I'm going through anxiety, but it's just basically worry about something, real deep worry about things, little things. And I can't mask that with positivity. It's like what you said, Jason, about having a really tough childhood as an example and trying to be positive doesn't help if you don't have the self-confidence and the belief that, you can make yourself better, you can make your life better, you're in charge of your fate. That positivity is just a superficial layer of defense, in my opinion. And it's the same with anxiety. You can't just mask the worry. You actually have to acknowledge the negative thoughts and the worries. And what I like about burning them is that you're acknowledging them because they are there. If you suffer from anxiety, they are there all the time and they crop up when you least expect them. But to acknowledge them and burn them and not dwell on them, I think that's how you overcome at least the anxiety part of it. Releasing them. Okay, this is how I'm feeling. Don't love it, but I'm acknowledging it, I'm burning it, and maybe even replacing it with a different thought, in time.
So what do you think some of the key aspects of, let's just jump real quick on a little bit of anxiety. I think that, I have this a lot. I get anxious about a lot of things. I think I live in like an anxiety ball about so many different aspects. So, what do you do? And I'm just curious out of my personal interest of how you cope with anxiety and these thoughts to help you get through your day and instead of like stress you out and make things worse for you.
If I'm honest, I'm still learning how to deal with it. I think for me personally, although I'm nowhere near mastering it, personally, I do use positivity in the sense that I find things that I'm grateful for. So I'm not really one to go look in the mirror and say positive things, or it's just, A, I don't have the time for it, and B, it doesn't really help me personally. But where I do use positivity is if I'm in a real slump anxiety-wise, I'll go for a drive and I'll go look at the mountains and the ocean, and I'll just make a concerted effort to find the things I'm grateful for. And gratitude, for some reason, does wonders for me. It helps me put into perspective the things that I'm worrying about. Are they actually big things? And what are the things in my life that bring me joy and mean more than these silly things that I'm stressing about? So it's that sort of thing. It's grounding myself by playing with my kids for a little bit, or getting out in the sun. The sun does huge wonders for me. I don't know if it's the vitamin D or just the feeling of warmth. So it's small things like that, Evan. I wish I could say I have a miracle cure for anxiety, and if anyone does, please pop a comment below, because I will try anything. But those are the small things I do personally.
Yeah, I think it ranges from person to person, to be honest. I think everyone handles it differently. As for myself, I still haven't found the cure for it. So I wish I did. But I think it's just maybe, it's all different. I think everyone is different, but that makes, because I'm always trying to find what's the best way to relieve stress for me, because my mind is constantly racing. It's always thinking about work, whether it's thinking about how to improve, how to build things, it's just, my mind just won't shut off. Even when I go to sleep, I have to sometimes take sleep medication because my brain will not shut off. It just keeps going, and it's very stressful. And then I think about my age, and I think about, man, I got to get this done. What am I doing in my life? I see other people, and I feel like there's always a rush. So, and then some people use meditation, breathing exercises. Jason, I don't know. I know, sorry, I might have cut you off there, but do you have any anxiety, or what are your thoughts?
Signal to noise ratio. Anxiety is created when you're surrounded by a tremendous amount of noise because it blurs the direction that you're supposed to pick. The signal is the direction that you're supposed to go in, and you're listening for that signal. And when you can't hear it, it creates anxiety. The best cure for anxiety, pick a direction and go. Go. And I'm saying this from someone who's been through exactly the same things that you just heard Evan and Claire describe. The difference is that I'm older. And when you're older, you realize it really is up to you. It's Amy Mann's song lyric. It's not going to stop till you wise up. The best way to deal with anxiety is you pick a direction you want to go in. Or if it helps, visualize an end point that you want to reach and then work backwards from that. Because that's your lodestar. That's the direction that you're going to go in. That's your signal. And your signal to noise ratio should be, I believe, at minimum 80-20. Every day I get up, same as you guys, bombarded with information that's going to make me anxious and nervous about the state of the world. This saps energy, saps time, saps attention. I focus on, what do I need to get done today? What do I need to get done in the next 16 to 18 hours? That's my signal. Get that done. Because psychologically, that creates a sense of achievement. It's something that you can control. It moves you closer to your goals. That makes it easier to sleep. It makes it easier to deal with the background noise because you can visualize it like chiseling a tunnel through a mountain. You're in complete darkness. It's terrifying, but you just keep chiseling forward. And I promise you, this is not empty positivity platitudes. I'm speaking about from someone who's put in the work and still fights the battle every day, because if you surrender, the battle gets harder as you age. No one is coming to your rescue but you. Keep your gloves up and defend yourself at all times, and keep chiseling forward toward what you want to achieve. It's the only way to deal with this.
Yeah, that kind of checks out, Jason, because as soon as I get into an anxiety spin, I become incredibly indecisive. And I've never sort of linked the two things. So that's really, really interesting to me. And the other thing is that when I'm anxiety riddled, the first thing I want to do is create a list of things that have to get done, so that I can focus in on those things and do a step-by-step approach. So that was really, really helpful to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Valuable.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, totally. I'm totally agree with that analysis, Jason. I think anxiety comes from. Well, I think anxiety and depression go hand in hand. I think anxiety is pre-depression in a form. Let's say you wanted to, start a little business, or make a YouTube channel, or whatever it is, and you think about it for a long time, and it sits on your mind, and you just don't go after it, and that anxiety goes, oh man, time is saying, and then you see other people do it and they grow, or you see your friends start businesses and they start growing. You're like, damn, I gotta wait. You wait, and the anxiety, and then you see at some point, I think that anxiety then turns into depression, where you feel like you've not been achieving what you've been wanting to achieve. And that's where I think, where wholeheartedly agree with you. You just got to do it. You just have to go through it, and you'll feel way more accomplished. It reminds me of like going to the gym. I hate going to the gym, but every time I finish going to the gym, I feel great. I refuse to go, but when I do finish it, I'm so relieved. I feel so good after that. And I think that can go with a lot of things. I think once you achieve something, that anxiety, that stress definitely goes away.
Jason, when you speak of the noise, are you talking about physical noise, or can it be physical noise as well as the noise of just a million thoughts bombarding your head?
Yeah, it's both. It's anything. If you want to define it, it's anything that distracts or detracts from what you want to achieve short-term and long-term. Short-term is your next 16 hours. Long-term is anything beyond that. What do I need to get done today? And it can be intrusive thoughts, which we all have and we all battle. It can be physical noise. It can absolutely be physical noise. If you're in a very noisy urban environment, dealing with that is very real. Now, maybe that means noise canceling headphones. Maybe it means background music. Could be whatever. In my case, as is the case for a lot of people, I have tinnitus or tinnitus, depending on which country you're in. I also hear the hum, which only I think about 2% of the human race hears. So yeah, it's constant, all right. You learn to focus. You develop mental tools to focus and deal with it, or you go nuts and you drown in the noise. Today, an average human being is exposed to more information in a single day than a grown adult living in Victorian London would have been exposed to in an entire lifetime. We as a species are not really engineered for how to cope with this. Evolution hasn't had time to catch up. So you develop survival tools to deal with a world that is accelerating, and as Arthur C. Clarke described and predicted in 1968, shrank to a single point. And we see all the byproducts of this in modern society. And my view on it is you can acknowledge it, you can be sympathetic to it. Your responsibility is to yourself. What do you want to achieve out of the chaos that is modern life? What do you want to achieve today? What do you want to achieve 5 or 10 years from now? It doesn't matter how outrageous it sounds. It's a direction. Because 5 or 10 years evaporates before you know it. And so you pick that direction and you move towards it. It doesn't stop the noise. It doesn't stop the intrusive thoughts. But it gives you something else to focus on that you can control. Because ultimately, what is anxiety? It's lack of control. What is fear? Lack of knowledge. Once you have the control and the knowledge, there is no anxiety. There is no fear. So you have to give your mind something to focus on that it can control and move towards.
Yeah, anxiety is pretty much feeling like you're in a holding pattern. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it's a brutal feeling. We've all been there. Many of us live with it every day. People listening to it are living with it right now. The feeling of being stuck in a holding pattern that no matter how hard you work, you're on one of those old gerbil treadmills or whatever, where, yeah, you can run faster, but you're not actually going anywhere. That's why you want to set goals that you can achieve daily. How do you climb Mount Everest? One step at a time. Granted with oxygen, but one step at a time. You have to look at it and break it down into pieces that can be achieved each day. And you have to hold on to that and go, I don't care what the hell is going to happen today. This is something I'm going to achieve for myself so that I don't tear my hair out and lay wide awake in bed at 3 a.m. get that sense of achievement, because that gives you a way to deal with the insanity around you.
Now there's different ways that people handle with this kind of insanity. Some people go out and do it. There are the doers, which is very admirable, because it's really hard to go from someone that has anxiety and has all these to just going, okay, I'm going to do it. And then there are people, now this is going to be controversial, a bit controversial, but then there are people that rely on medication. And I don't, and this is my personal thoughts, but I think that there, something like taking medication, I'd say, for relaxation, or I mean, not relaxation, but to clean up anxiety. I think it may be good for some people, but that's never a long-term solution. And this is my own opinion, and I know it might be controversial, but I believe that it's something that you have to really try and overcome yourself and really fight through it. And I think the outcome would be far more superior than if you just rely on medication. And this, I know this is a very strong take, but I'm curious on your guys' viewpoints on this. But yeah.
Well, if you have a chemical imbalance in the brain, then medication helps right that imbalance. So it's like building a foundation so you can build a house. It is not an end unto itself. And I should point out, I'm saying this as someone who, when I was younger, oh yeah, antidepressants, absolutely, because I do genetically have a chemical imbalance in my brain. So it really helped getting that addressed and dealt with. But you have to recognize it is not an end unto itself. You still have to put in the work, because otherwise you're still stuck in neutral. And that brings us to part 2 of what's depressing or causing anxiety, which is a feeling of powerlessness, hopelessness. The deck is stacked against me. What the big root cause of depression, of anxiety, is the problems are too big and I can't overcome them. And it leads to drug abuse, alcoholism, all sorts of problems, mental issues, etc. And if you're listening to this and you're going, well, what do you know about it? I'm speaking from experience, damn it. Pay attention. I'm speaking to you as a former opioid addict, a former alcoholic, someone who's been abused, someone who's been molested, someone who's been medicated, and I managed to make it out the other side. And I'm raising my voice right now because I'm trying to tell you that if you just focus on what you want to get through, as hard as each day is, you can get there. And when you do, the reward is that you wake up looking forward to each day, looking forward to your life. Put in the work and you can make it. And some of you are going to be thinking right now, oh, well, survivorship bias. You're one of the people who beat the odds, and statistically they're always, no, damn it, no. That's defeatist thinking, and you know it. Put in the work, and you can get a point in your life where, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, you don't need to abuse alcohol and drugs. And maybe the echoes of the past don't drive you to commit acts of behavior that you regret for the rest of your life. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's possible. Do with that information whatever you want, because it's your life.
I mean, that's extremely powerful. Like this, that's, if you guys are hearing this, is like from someone that's experienced a lot of stuff. I think we've all experienced, even personally, I've experienced sleeping on a couch, having no money, having nothing. At age of almost 30 years old, I've lost everything. I've started businesses, I've lost everything multiple times. And we all go through extreme struggles in life, some worse than others. But the best thing to do is just to pick yourself up. You have to not rely on anything else. You just have to be strong, keep pushing. There's always a better day ahead. If you keep going, there's always a better day. People always say, oh, this is the worst day, that nothing is going to get better. No, even at my lowest, I just thought to myself, I go, this is the worst. If anything happens, there can't be lower than this. This is the worst. And it's kind of like my base level. That's where I think, okay, well, I can only grow from here. And I think that's special. And I think there could be many people that are listening to this that can resonate with that. And they might be, even they might be living this right now where they feel down. I just think that there's always hope. There's always hope. And you don't have to rely on drugs. You don't have to rely on opioids or anything. You can do it yourself by making small little steps, taking little achievements, like we were talking about, even if it's something simple as saying, I'm just going to make my bed today. If you do that, just do it for one time every week, then 2 times every week, 3 times, then change something else, make a small increment. And then you'll start feeling better every single day. You'll start feeling small accomplishments because in your head, you said you were going to do something, you did it. And that's the start to having much less anxiety. It's helpful for depression, and it's a great start to make your life much better. And it's the small things that count. It's not just I'm going to become rich, I'm just going to make money. It's the small little steps to get there, to make you happy, and that's what matters the most.
There's a scene in Kill Bill. Pretty much everyone has seen that movie. Wiggle your big toe. If you listen to what Evan just said and you're like, yeah, but, because let's get the yes buts out of the way. Yes, but you don't understand the catastrophic depth of my depression, where even the idea of getting out of my bed to make my bed is too much. Okay, I've been there. I know what that feels like. Wiggle your big toe. Wiggle your big toe. Okay, now get the others wiggling. Okay, that's an achievement. Now rotate your ankle. Okay. Raise one knee. You just keep going from there. It can be that granular and that simple. And here's why I'm getting a little preachy and hammering on this. The leading cause of death for people under the age of 35, at least in the US and the UK, and for men under the age of 50 in both countries, is self-harm. And you know what the kicker of it is? Statistically speaking, your prime earning years are typically your 40s into your mid-50s. That means that people are checking out right as the game is about to get good. Right as the game is about to turn, right as all the work, the decades of work and suffering and pain and frustration are about to pay off, they throw the game. And I'm speaking from personal experience on this. At the age of 39, Evan gave a little bit of his backstory there, and man, do I sympathize with that. Been in a similar position. At 24, I had the world conquered. Making a bunch of money, had the photogenic wife, living on a tropical island. 5 years later, lost all of it. Had to rebuild from scratch. At the age of 39, I was ready to check out. I was done. It's never going to get better. It's utter misery. I'm done. My life changed overnight, literally overnight. But if I had not put in the decades of work, I would not have been in a position to take advantage of it when my number was called and it was my turn. And I bring this up because, again, statistically speaking, before the age of 50 in particular, and I would argue even 55, you are still very much on an upward trajectory. Do not throw the game. You just recognize that right now you might be driving through a lot of fog, and your high beams might not give you much visibility. But some visibility is all you need.
You know, that's I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's super important. And it's kind of, I don't want to, now don't take this part advice from me, but this is how I see things sometimes. When things are bad, anxiety, stress, sometimes I take a step back and go, you know what? I don't care. At the end of the day, nothing of this matters. Why am I stressed over this? My girlfriend often says, don't stress over this. There's no reason to stress over that. If you can't change it, don't stress over it. And you have to sometimes just think about things in life and just go, nothing really matters. This is all made up, it's from roles to, I'm CTO, CEO, all these roles are just made up. This is all stuff that combines to stress and relaxation. And sometimes you got to step back and go, you know what, what's most important to me? What is relaxing to me? What would make me happy? If it's relaxing sometimes, I think we touched on this the other day, it's the importance of just, relaxing. And truly, this all ties in together as bad thoughts, relaxation. And it's really important to just step back and think about all these things, because we all go through bad situations, and nothing really matters at the end of the day. So don't stress about the world. Just relax and enjoy it, and it's not over. The world's not over. It's just a bad moment. So things will always get better. There will always be better times. Always. And not to sound like a preacher or anything like that, but it is true. It is actually true. And I've gone through these moments multiple times. And when you think nothing else is going to get better in life, and it does. So just referencing back to our first topic of talking about, bad thoughts, is sometimes, maybe it's good to write down bad thoughts, write down good thoughts, keep the good thoughts, keep a small plan. Write down something that you want to achieve, whether it's small, whether it's big, write it down. And then the bad stuff, what's bad in your life? What's it? And maybe writing it down will make you self-realize, okay, this is actually a bad thing. And then you can just burn it. As Claire says this, maybe get rid of it and keep the things that are most important to you. And I think that's a very great takeaway of things, is writing it down and seeing it in paper. And you writing it down is you physically noticing it and realizing it, and maybe that will change something in your life.
Yeah, I know this episode's turned into a little bit of a Southern Baptist revival, but here's the best perspective I can offer on it. Carl Jung once famously said that life begins at 40, and everything before that is research. If you think back to when you were a kid, think about something that seems so catastrophic when you were 6 years old, 7 years old. Your best friend won't speak to you anymore, and it was the end of your world. Now you look back on it and you laugh. Understand that exactly the same thing is true when you get older and you look back at events from your teens, 20s, 30s, etc., and the stakes are higher, but it just doesn't affect you as much because you have the benefit of perspective. And that's one of the things that, maybe this is a little bit of Gen X tough love. One of the things that I do really wish sometimes I could just reach through the screen and grab younger people by the lapels and go, this is the arc of life. It's nothing unique that you're going through. We've all gone through it. Now roll up your sleeves and get to work. And I don't mean that in a disparaging sense. I mean it in the sense of you're right on track. You're right on track. you're experiencing the arc of life, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to feel. It just doesn't seem like it at the time because you don't have the benefit of the full picture. It's like thinking that all of the original Star Wars trilogy is like the moment where Luke gets his hand chopped off. Like, you're not seeing the complete picture. So just stay the course.
And I think the people that go through the hardest time, now this is me growing up and understanding this. I grew up, nothing in like bad conditions or anything like that, but I've grown up with harsh parents. They were harsh. They were, they're strict. And I grew up with lots of failing, lots of anxiety struggles. But I think that for the people that are going through that, I will bet you money that you will become a much better person later in life than someone that grew up maybe that had everything, that had it all, because they didn't have these experiences, they didn't have this character development. And I think that it is a learning curve. It makes you appreciate things much more. It makes you understand the lows and the highs of life. I think you need to go through some of the worst lows in life to experience what that is, to understand it, to appreciate the small wins, the big wins. Because if you're constantly, it's like playing a video game. If you have all the cheat codes, the game becomes very boring. You've won the game. There's not much of a storyline. But if you have to fight and it feels much better to achieve when you do it the right way, whether it's building a business or just in personal life, relationships. It's good to fail. It's great to fail, because then you can, as long as you pick yourself back up and keep failing or keep doing it and learn from it, I think you will have much character development. So if you're going through a bad time, just think about it as you are going to be better off than a lot of people that already had a great time in life, that already had a great life, because you have much better character development than they have.
I mean, this is something that Tony Robbins has spoken on, that, isn't it interesting that some people who are born with every advantage usually end up like going in and out of rehab, and they can't really adjust to, life. Whereas people who've been through ultimate pain, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes the ones who end up contributing the most to society. And modern life, social media in particular, is very, very, very good at increasing the noise in a signal-to-noise ratio. Develop the mental fortitude and the tools to block that out so you can listen to your signal. Because I guarantee you, the people that you envy, they're sitting there envying someone else. The people that you look up to, they're riddled with the same thoughts that are running through your head right now. William Goldman once famously said, "Nobody knows anything. We are all stumbling through this blindly." The only guidepost that I can offer you is find what you want and then go after it. That's it.
Just a little off topic, but around this is I always find the people that are the meanest, are not, that I shouldn't say meanest, but the ones that kind of like are tough. They give people a hard time. Hey, they have the biggest heart because they've been through the most, but they understood people. But the people that seem always the nicest and always so happy, and I always had found, because I've been through, talked to a lot of people they're always kind of like a darker side. Now, not always. There's always great, lovely people out there, but it's always the people that are tough and honest, the honesty that you don't want to hear, versus that they seem to have the best heart. But this is my own experience, obviously, and it doesn't go for everyone. But this is what I've examined over time. Just a little side note. I don't want to divert the conversation too far.
Claire, you've gotten a bit quiet there. Just want to check in, see what your thoughts on this are, because obviously you have a different perspective as a parent. So you're seeing a part of this cycle that Evan and I have not seen, which is how to project values, strength, wisdom, etc., onto someone else who's learning and studying you at all times. I'm kind of curious how that's changed your perspective.
She just went quiet because she just realized that her coworkers might be psychopaths. So she's like, I think this.
No, I've got to tell you, I've learned so much from this call. So I'm sitting here happily listening and taking it all in. But Jason, you're spot on. It's in today's world, it's pretty daunting. Having little humans to raise and to, whose self-worth you have to help build. Because let's be honest, in today's world, there's a lot of challenges, that are competing for your child's attention and affecting their self-worth. And it's really difficult to navigate. The social media thing is incredibly daunting as a parent. Cell phones, accessibility to things, it's a minefield. And I know in our household, we've actually learned to practice positive self-talk, positive self-image, for our kids' sake. So, there's no longer any moaning about how you're feeling, or not necessarily how you're feeling. It's okay to feel bad. We've taught them that, but there's no looking in the mirror and saying, ugh, I hate how I look today. Or, my child will often, my oldest has learned to use my camera on my phone. And she'll take a photo of me and I'll be like, first thing in the morning, I've got a dressing gown on, my hair's a mess, really, really picture perfect. And she'll take a photo of me. And I've learned I have to say, wow, I look beautiful. Thanks for the photo. This is amazing. And you have to change everything you say and the way you project yourself, because they are watching. They are watching. And if we don't instill that now, when they get old enough to use cell phones and the internet and go down these deep rabbit holes of, I don't even know what to call it, but when they are influenced by social media and society, they better have a very, very strong concept of themselves and a very good self-image. And it's up to us as parents to build that. And it's a huge weight.
I think that's a perfect segue onto next week's podcast about early development on social media and how it impacts a child's life. I think that's a very important thing, because I think a person who they are as an adult is highly reflective of how they were as a child and how they were raised. So I think that's very important. Maybe that's a great next topic that we should talk about. As for this one, I think we covered pretty much everything. I think we understand now a little more about each other. I hope that people see it and write down the positive things, and also get rid of negative things in their life. Write down negative things, get rid of them. I think we've covered a lot of things in this conversation where people can resonate. They see that, hey, I'm not the only one. There are other people out there, including people that run a relaxation channel that have individual problems like myself, or maybe you don't have any problems, but you can understand where we're coming from, that this is not just the sole issue. This is a combination that everyone deals with. So I think it's very important that this is why we wanted to talk to our audience and just share, because just listening to music, you relax, but you sometimes doesn't get rid of. You don't understand where it's coming from, and these are a great way for you to understand where it might be coming from. It might be a great way to get rid of it, and also enjoy relaxing music. So if anyone else has anything else to say, you're more than welcome. The floor is open. But this is it for this podcast.
Lawaka.
All right. Well, thank you guys both for coming on. And next week we will talk about something new. It will be a new chat. In the meantime, thank you everyone and have a great week.